The second famous national park I'm going to tell you about is the Grand Canyon National Park. It is in Arizona in the southwest United States. It contains one of the largest and deepest canyons anywhere on planet Earth. You can see here that because of its size and depth and its beautiful colored rock, Americans call the Grand Canyon one of the natural wonders of the world. Native American people have lived in and near the Grand Canyon for at least 4,000 years. And today, it's a popular place for tourists. There are many walking trails in the canyon, as you see here. People can walk from the top of the canyon all the way down to the river in the bottom of the canyon. In some places, the canyon is 1,600 meters deep, and Americans would say that's about a mile deep. The canyon is 277 miles long, or 446 kilometers, and it varies between 4 and 18 miles wide. That's 6.4 to 29 kilometers. In addition to hiking, it's also a popular sport to float down the river that flows in the bottom of the canyon. But the river has many rocks in it, causing what we call rough water. People float over this rough water in these rubber boats called rafts. The river in the canyon has 150 places where the water flows over rocks to make rough water. Some people travel the entire canyon in rafts, taking 12 days and camping in the canyon every night. They are far away from roads and only have the food and supplies that they bring with them. They also have to carry out their trash. Sometimes there are no people for miles and miles, and the river is beautiful. Trips like this are exciting, but also dangerous. People pay money for guides to take them down the river, as much as $3,500 per person for the entire trip through the canyon. In new Taiwanese dollars, that would be over $115,000. One new attraction in the Grand Canyon is called the Skywalk. It extends out over the canyon for a wonderful view. But the floor of the Skywalk is clear, as you see here. You have to pay 2,800 new Taiwanese dollars just to walk out there. But many people think that the view is well worth it. The last place I'm going to tell you about is Mount Rushmore in my own state of South Dakota. Here's a picture of Mount Rushmore taken from the air. It is a national memorial, but it's still part of our national park system. On the mountain, the faces of 4 famous American presidents have been carved. The presidents are George Washington, who was the first American president, Thomas Jefferson, the man who wrote our very important Declaration of Independence, Abraham Lincoln, the president who freed the black slaves 140 years ago and led the country through a civil war in the United States in the 1860s. And Theodore Roosevelt, who is often thought to be one of the greatest American presidents. It was his idea to create the national parks. Mount Rushmore is sometimes called the Shrine to Democracy because all of the men honored there played important roles in the freedom of the United States and of individual American people. Around 2 million people visit Mount Rushmore each year. This is the entrance to the memorial. In the distance, you can see what is called the Avenue of Flags. It has flags of all 50 American states. There are hiking trails near the mountain, but most visitors stay at the Visitor Center. In the Visitor Center, they can learn about the history of Mount Rushmore and of the men who carved it. They can buy souvenirs, and they can also buy meals and snacks. Every evening during the summer, after it turns dark, there is a special ceremony in which the mountain is lit by huge lights for the evening visitors. Here is the lighted mountain at night. Yellowstone National Park, Grand Canyon National Park, and Mount Rushmore National Memorial are special places in the minds of Americans. If you visit the United States, you may want to visit these places. But I told you that I would also tell you about how I like to spend my vacations. I like to go to a place that is not far from Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills of South Dakota. In this map, you can see where I live in Vermilion on the right end of the line, and where I like to go on the left end of the line. It's a 7-hour drive one way. This little house is called a cabin. Cabin is a word that means a small house that is made of simple materials. Kind of like a lodge, but a cabin is small. This usually means that it's made of wood and other natural things. It's like a big lodge, the big lodge in Yellowstone National Park, for example, but it's a very small home. My wife and I own this cabin, and my parents owned it before us. We call it our second home because our first home, where we live most of the year, is in Vermilion. My parents were college teachers too, and they would spend their entire summers at the cabin. I don't get to spend as much time there as I like, but I still like it very much. You can see that our cabin is in a very small town. This village has only 2 streets going north and south, and 2 streets going east and west. Most of the other houses there are also vacation cabins. Here's the inside of our cabin. Our only heat is from the fireplace, and at some times of year when we visit, have to have the fire going all day long to stay warm. One reason I like our cabin is that we see lots of wild animals. We sometimes see a wild turkey in our neighbor's yard, or deer near our. This picture was taken when it was still cold out and the deer still have shaggy winter fur coats. Because we like seeing deer, we put out a block of salt in our backyard for them to lick, as you can see here. Deer like the salt and stop every day for the salty taste. Can you see the baby deer? You can tell it's a baby because it has spots on its back that will go away when it gets older. Now that you've seen these pictures, I think you know what a relaxing place our cabin is and what a wonderful thing it is to visit the national parks in the United States. As Americans would say, it's a good way to get away from it all.